Hey guys, welcome to the podcast today. Today I'm like deviating from my normal talking about certain things happening in my design business, and I'm kind of like taking a blast from the past, and I want to talk to you guys about some things that actually comes out of having a PhD in design. So crazy enough, most people don't understand that if you have a PhD in design, usually you had to do some kind of either quantitative or qualitative work. And for me, it was quantitative. I ran a bunch of t-tests. We ran a series of experiments on design and short-term memory. I was very into short-term memory understanding, especially logo design and understanding of like how much the brain could retain. So extremely boring stuff, but I came up with lots of great stuff. And had I decided to stay in that research portion of design, I would have had at this point a tremendous amount of work around the psychology and everything happening to designers or to human beings as we had visual cues for things. Okay, so it's probably a little bit boring for you, but it reminded me of the topic I wanted to talk today about, which is how designers need to use icons to their best ability. Now, what do I mean by that? So if you are in Design Suite, you know I have a lesson on Gestalt theory. I love Gestalt theory because I think it's very important. So for those of you who are not in Design Suite, let me just give you one little snippet from that. And that is that in Gestalt theory, we believe that closure happens because your brain will close things off that aren't necessarily already visually closed off. So that's how we can use very interesting things like, for example, an apple that's maybe drawn, you have like a stroke line that draws all the way around, but then it doesn't actually close, it doesn't end. Or maybe you have a leaf that you see only one and a piece of that line, but it doesn't close, it doesn't end. We don't need the entire leaf closed off for us to understand it's a leaf. Our brain uses that closure to remind us of that it is what it is, because we want to figure out what those are. And if you are on my YouTube channel, you will see that Boo decided to join us for the rest of this video. So I'm gonna kick her out. If you're on the podcast, you might want to sneak over to see that kind of hilarious thing. That's my cat, Boo. We have two. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, okay, closure. So here is the thing. As designers, one of the things we have to do is we're not looking for realistic things. In the movie, The Girl with the Pearl Earring with Colin Firth and Scarlett Johansson, I wasn't going to bring this up, but one of the things he asks her when he says, look at those clouds, tell me what color they are. And she goes, white. He was like, look at them again. And he was like, that's not right. Look at them again. And she goes, yellow. So often when we're talking about realistic things, we are really digging into, what does real actually look like and trying to paint that into a canvas. In design, it's almost the opposite. What we are looking for are the iconic pieces of that icon, the things that will help make it identifiable, and we are going to figure out how to use that silhouette or those stroke lines so that it's very easy for the customer or the person visualizing it to understand exactly what it is. And usually it's abstract, right? Apples aren't always, when I think about an apple, it's usually like two bumps on the top and two bumps at the bottom, and maybe a little stem and maybe a little leaf. Apples do not look like that when you get it from the grocery store, right? When you go to the grocery store, every apple's a little different. The bumps aren't exactly perfectly, aligned. They're not symmetrical. And it doesn't look like the perfect icon or silhouette that we will create for an apple. So why is that? Why is like the way we would build it as an artist so different from how we would build it as a designer? In design, because we have way fewer stroke lines. For a painter, they're going to paint the whole thing out and they get lots of color, they get lots of variation. But as a designer, we usually are trying to minimalize the stroke lines. Because we have that, we have to choose the best strokes that will allow whoever's seeing it to visually be cued and understand the icon that they're seeing. And so I want to emphasize, as a designer, we get the ability to use less lines, but that means we also need to use those icons and silhouettes in a way that takes us to the next level, right? We need to be thinking about how can we use these stroke lines, because sometimes it'll be like 3, like you've got 3 lines and it represents something. A panda bear, it represents a jar, it represents a TV. Talk about hard, right? A rectangle. And that's why very often you see an iconic older TV, because it has more things going on with it. The antenna, the buttons, maybe the speaker coming out of it, because it's a little bit easier to create. Same with phones, right? An iPhone versus an old school phone. So we need to be using icons and thinking about how to use them in a way that is a visual cue. And we get less lines for it, but it also means we have to think smarter about how we're using those lines. All right, just a quick design lesson today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I look forward to seeing you. Hope you are having a great holiday season, and I will talk to you soon.
Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.